Sewlush. Easy projects fully explained. Cute zipped pouch with covered zip ends. Showing you how to make a zipped pouch with covered zip ends. This is what you'll need for this project. You'll need 2 pieces of main fabric. This will be the outside of your pouch. And these need to be 28 centimetres by 21 centimetres, which is 11 inches by 8 1/4 inches. You need some lining fabric, 2 pieces. These need to be exactly the same size as your outside fabric, so 28 centimetres by 21 centimetres. And you'll need some interfacing, and I'm using this thin non-fusible interfacing. It's called Thermolam fleece and it's made by Violin, and this also needs to be 28 centimetres by 21 centimetres or 11 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Once you've got your fabric, you also need your zip ends, which are 2 identical pieces, and your zip ends are 8 centimetres by 4.5 centimetres, which is 3 1/4 inches by 1 1/2 inches. You'll also need a zip, and I'm using an ordinary nylon zip. You want the zip to be a little bit longer than your project, and in this case this zip is 35 centimetres long, which is 13 3/4 inches. And you can see that the zip is just longer than the fabric I've cut out, and this is so that when we've made our pouch and we're doing our side seams, we're going to cut off the piece with the little metal stopper at the bottom, which is where I usually break my needle. So we're going to cut that off and then stitch straight over the actual nylon zipper itself, and that will actually mean that you haven't got a broken needle at the end of your project. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my interfacing to my main fabric. And to do that, I'm going to put my fabric, my main fabric, face down. And then I'm going to use some 505 spray. This is a temporary spray glue. And I'm just going to spray the back of my fabric, or you can spray your interfacing, and then I'm going to place my interfacing onto my fabric. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to take my zip ends, I'm going to fold them over, I'm going to give them a little press, just like that. So I've now got 2 folded zip ends, and I'm going to put these onto my zip. And what you need to do for this is you just need to put your fabric against your zip, and then to put your zip ends, line them up with the side of your main fabric. You want the folded edge facing inwards, just like that. So you can see my zip ends and the sides of my fabric are actually lined up together. Okay. Once you've done that, you're going to take your zip over to your sewing machine with the zip ends, and then you're going to stitch your zip ends onto your zip. You can see what I've done here. I've pinned the tabs to both ends of the zip where they're going to be stitched. And then I'm just going to put them under my zipper foot, and I'm going to stitch quite close to the edge of this little end, and then I'm going to do a second stitch a little bit further back just to make it look nice and neat. And trim off the ends of your zip to match the ends of your zipper ends. And now you're going to make something called a zip sandwich. So to start with, you'll need one of your interfaced main pieces, and you'll need one piece of your lining. So put your zip the wrong way up on top of your zip front, and then you're going to take your lining fabric, lie it face to face with your main fabric on top of your zip. Square it up, and then just pin through all the layers. So you're actually pinning through the side of the zip, the front of your pouch and the back of your pouch. Now what you're going to do is take it over to your sewing machine, and you're going to stitch straight along that edge. So I've now stitched completely along that edge there. I'm just going to trim off the sides of my zip ends, and I'm going to turn over the top layer. And as you can see, the zip's caught in between the two layers. I'm just going to give this a bit of a press. I'm now going to do a layer of top stitching straight across here next to the zip. So now you can see the zip's top stitch down one side. So you need to place your main fabric face down on your main fabric along the top of the zip, and you need to put your lining fabric on top of your lining fabric along the side of the zip. And you're just going to do what you did before, pin along. When you're pinning, make sure that the side of the zip is level with the top of your fabric. I'm going to start this time with my zip as far along as I can move it. And when I get up to that end, I'm going to move my zip back. I'll show you as I have it under the sewing machine. Now I've got my second side of my pouch pinned. I'm going to put it under the machine and sew it. See, I've left my ordinary foot on the machine. I haven't used the zipper foot. If you want to, you could use a zipper foot. I don't bother because I find this foot's perfectly adequate. So I'm just going to stitch along here, and the end of the zip is up this end of the pouch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch along to 3/4 of the way, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to move the zip down so it has a nice neat finish. So I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to lift up my pressure foot, and I'm going to raise my needle but not not out of the fabric, just raise it a little bit so that it's a bit higher. And then I'm going to just open up my pouch, find the zip, and then just zipper it along. And you're going to do the same as you did last time. You're going to lay your pouch out flat and make sure that both sides are laying flat, that you've folded it out correctly so that you've got your two lining fabrics facing away from each other and your two top fabrics facing away from each other. You're now going to just top stitch up the other side of that zip. You're going to do the same thing with your zip that you did last time. You're going to stitch up to here, leave your zip in the fabric but raise it up a little bit, raise your zipper foot up and slide your zip along. And then just to make the pouch, you need to flip over the front and match up your two fronts. Leave your zip in the middle, undo your zip to start with, I should have said. And you're just going to pin around the sides and the bottom. As you get to the section where the zip is, fold it flat and push the zip tab towards the lining. So the tab faces towards the lining. Now what you're going to do is you're going to stitch your pouch. You're going to start here and you're going to go along to the end. You're going to go up the side, across the bottom, up the other side and then back to this green peg here. You're going to leave that open, and when you finish you're going to just reverse a little way on top of your stitching to make it strong at both ends there. What you're going to do is clip your corners, clip across, don't clip through the stitching, just straight across the corners. Makes them neater when you turn it out. Now you could finish at this stage and have a flat pouch. Put your hand in, turn it out, make sure you're pushing out the corners well. Just pull it completely out through the hole in the lining that you left. Now as you can see, this does make quite a nice flat pouch if that's what you want. I personally like to have a little bit more body in my pouch so that if I'm storing makeup or something like that, I've got enough room for it. So in order to do that, we're going to sew across the bottom edges, but I'll show you that in a minute. But as I say, we're going to square off our edges to give it a bit of a flat bottom. You're going to put your hand inside and you're going to push the bottom corners flat, matching up the side seams. You'll need to feel with your fingers that the side seams are actually matched up together. And then you need to measure along there, and I'm going to make mine 4 centimetres, which is 1.5 inches from the corner. So you're measuring up along the side seams, and then you're going to make a line. You can see here, that's my line, and then you're going to draw a straight line. You can use a measuring rule or something straight if you want to. I'm just going to draw mine today. Straight across. And then you're going to stitch on that line. And when you've done that, you're going to trim it off, leaving about 1 centimetre. And you're going to do that for all 4 corners. So now we've done all four corners, we're going to turn it out to the right side. And now you'll see that instead of a flat bottom, you've got a base. You have to stitch up the hole that you left in the lining for turning out, and to do that you just need to turn that under for 1 centimetre. Just going to top stitch right along the top of that gap, so that now that gap's closed. Push it into the pouch. And there you have it, a lined pouch with covered ends on your zip, here and here. Nice flat